Bitcoin hitting a record high this week as a number of regulatory bills move through the House. One bill, the Genius Act, would regulate stablecoins. It's expected to be signed by the president today. Joining us now is Deputy Treasury Secretary Michael Faulkender. It's great to have you on. Beyond adding legitimacy to crypto and safety to crypto, what do you think this bill allows for when it comes to the system?
Great to be with you. Yeah, it's a great day for the American people because we are going to provide regulatory and legislative clarity to the use of stablecoins for modernizing the payment system. You know, as we identify new ways to use technology, we can more quickly, more cheaply, and more securely facilitate payment around the world. And so what this is going to do is it's going to even further cement the dollar as the world's reserve currency, because by making it easier for people trading internationally, for imports and exports, for trade even domestically to take place through electronic means, through blockchain technology, by providing this legislative clarity for those participating in this space, they know the rules of the road, they know how to operate, and it'll bring faith to the American people on how to negotiate, how to make payments, how to utilize these new systems. Let me also make one other point about this. This innovation has been going on, and if we do not provide this kind of clarity, then what's going to happen is the innovation is going to take place abroad. And the last thing that the American people want to see, or that people who have values of the West, the last thing they want to see is the Chinese taking the lead on international standard setting. And so by providing clear rules of the road, that then facilitates us working with partners around the world to have the U.S. system of stablecoins be the dominant means by which we engage in electronic commerce.
It's clear who the winners are. I mean, we just showed a few of them: Coinbase, Robinhood, Circle, everyone that the crypto companies. Who are the losers? Does this hurt ultimately the credit card issuers if it makes cross-border transactions with crypto more legit?
I think what it does is it changes the way it provides new competition in the foreign remittance space. So rather than being reliant on sending, foreign wires, using correspondent banking relationships that can sometimes take 24, 48, 72 hours to move money internationally, you can, in minutes, if not faster, securely, cheaply send money around the world and thereby facilitate even faster trade than what takes place when we're using these more, let's call it historic ways of making payments internationally. So, I have said before, if I were still operating a very traditional foreign remittance type business, then this is quite an emerging challenge to that traditional structure.
Like a MoneyGram, those kind of companies.
I would say I wonder what you think actors around the world who are opposed to dollar dominance, how they will respond to this news.
Yeah, as I said, I think that this further cements the position of the dollar as the world's reserve currency, because as this innovation takes place, as we make it easier for trade now to be processed in dollar-based currency, invoiced and paid for in dollars, then any argument that was being made about why you might instead invoice in renminbi or in euros, I think that as we ensure that we have the most technologically advanced with a legal structure around it, you're going to see even more confidence in using dollar-based invoicing and dollar-based trade, which again increases the demand for dollar-based reserves and further cements the dollar as the world's reserve currency. So yeah, if there are other countries around the world that want to see their currency be in a more prominent position, this legislation is critical for us to push back on that.
Right, and Besson's been pretty clear about that in his testimony recently. I wonder, there's going to have to be sort of a large public education effort, isn't there, as we get these stable coins issued? We're awash in headlines from companies and banks that are considering it right now. How do you make that simple to understand for regular Americans?
Right, and I think I'll just remind people that this is just the latest technological innovation in financial services. I remind people all the time, we used to go into banks, now we use automated teller machines. We used to make deposits in person, and now we can make them through our phones. We do a lot of things through this is just the latest way of using technology to make it faster, cheaper, and more secure. And so the private sector providers of this, yes, are going to have to educate their customers. And just as we have shifted to other more modern forms of technology in financial services, it's going to be incumbent on the providers to explain to users and build out their confidence in how these new platforms are going to work.
Just wanted to share some of the recent economic data that we had. We got improvement in University of Michigan consumer sentiment and also lower expectations of both short and long-term inflation, which continues to paint a better picture of the economy. I'm wondering how you are thinking about second half growth now that we are seeing confidence come back.
Well, and let me add one more data point in there, which is the retail sales number yesterday blew out expectations because this economy is growing a lot stronger than a lot of the pessimists in the media have wanted to give it credit for. But we knew that this was going to happen because we're returning to the magic sauce that the President Trump unleashed in his first term. Deregulation, permanency in the tax cuts, resolving some of these international trading issues, builds confidence, brings back manufacturing and private sector jobs to the United States. That's what facilitates productivity improvements, creates growth opportunities, and we are seeing the American people realize that this economic plan is, just as it did in the 2017 to 2019 timeframe, going to bring back affordable growth for the American people. And so you see them out spending without price increases because by increasing on the supply side, by generating the incentives for more domestic production, we can have that higher level of sales without inflation because we're going to produce more here in the United States.
And I know the president wants to see lower rates because of the sort of no inflation, even though there are upside risks, you have to admit, to inflation. I just wanted to ask about the Fed future because that's been like the topic of discussion this week. And I know the president said it's unlikely that he would try to fire Fed Chair Powell, but I do wonder what you hear about any potential investigation. I think on an earlier show it was said that FHFA was investigating. It wouldn't come from them. It would have to come from Congress, right? Have you heard anything about that when it comes to this building remodel question?
So, yeah, that really doesn't fall into the Treasury lane. Instead, what we want to do is make sure that the president casts a wide net as he thinks about who his next Fed chair is going to be. But just like he's done with the rest of his cabinet, I am very confident that the president's going to select an outstanding next Fed chair. And I think we're more focused on the future and making sure that we get somebody in there who is going to facilitate growth and make sure that we have the right interest rate environment to take advantage of all of these pro-growth activities that the president is unleashing with his economic plan.
And lower interest rates. I mean, that feels like it has to be a criteria, right, that they want lower rates right now.
Again, to the extent that we unleash supply, then there is no reason for us to anticipate that inflation would come with it, in which case one should question why we continue to have one of the highest interest rate environments in the world when we're not seeing inflation materialize in the data.
All right. Well, we appreciate you joining us on the big
Great
day
to be
for
with
crypto.
you. Absolutely. Great day for the
Genius
American
Act.
people.
It's good to see you, Mr. Deputy Secretary Michael Faulkender.